What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of my Next Gen Career Mode. This is episode number 120, and we start today's episode off with a game in the Bundesliga here against Hamburg at the Olympiastadion. And you know it's going to be a bad game when you lose connections to the Wi-Fi whilst you're selecting the kit. That's always frustrating, but we take on Hamburg here at the Olympiastadion. And of course, the last episode was a minute shorter, and I do apologise for that, but the video is back to 10 minutes for this one, and I should be able to keep them for 10 minutes for the foreseeable future. Again, I know most of you seem to understand it. The last episode, I appreciate that, but as I said, it's been difficult for me lately, so hopefully you appreciate that. But anyway, we take on Hamburg, who this year have done a lot better than usual. You know, I said before, Hamburg are a side in career mode who I thought would do a lot better than they tend to do. They're usually flirting with relegation. However, this year you will see by the league table they're sitting in 10th, so okay, not amazing, but a lot better than 16th or wherever. So a lot better than the previous years. They're sitting in 10th, so a little bit better this year, but I still felt confident in my chances, as I should do really. But the first chance did actually come to Hamburg, and they had a great chance there, but the header went just wide the post in the 6th minute. And in the 10th minute, another great chance for Hamburg. Our former player Baum Johan takes aim, but it's a good save by Neuer as he turns it behind for a corner. So still 0-0 as things stood, but a couple of great chances for Hamburg early on. So they put the marker down early on in this game and said, hey, we're not going to come here and defend and hope for a 0-0 draw. We're going to try and get some goals and win this game. So still 0-0, but a few minutes later, Boateng plays a great crossfield ball towards the runner Marco Reus, takes on his man, beats him with a fake shot, slides it into Toni Kroos. Kroos finds Lasogga finds Sam. Wonderful football, wonderful passing, but Sam's shot is well saved by Vargas, the goalkeeper, and Hamburg get the ball away. So very good save there by the goalkeeper. And in the 32nd minute, we have a giant throw in. Boateng takes it. We're trying to cause a scramble. We do so, and it's headed off the line by the defender and turned behind for a corner. So causing a bit of panic there. And from the corner, it's crossed in. It's headed away only as far as Kroos. Kroos flicks it backwards, but it's cleared away by Hamburg. Again, though, we win it back through Nico Schultz, who strikes. It takes a deflection and goes out for a corner. So we kept on shooting, kept on putting the pressure on Hamburg, and from this corner, Royce crosses the ball in. Lasogga wins the header. This is a great save by Vargas, and it's turned behind for yet another corner. So again, Vargas making a great save, and from the corner again, Royce to Lasogga, same combination, but unfortunately the same result. Vargas makes the save, and this time it's a relatively comfortable one for him. So still Hertha Berlin 0, Hamburg 0, and past the hour mark we were still scoreless, and I couldn't find that all-important first goal. And as Goretzka gets the ball off Toni Kroos here, he plays it back to Kroos, who had a great game against Bayern Munich, and despite getting tackled, Goretzka wins us the ball back, goes down the left-hand side, great opportunity, finesses the ball, tries to find a corner, Vargas saves it, but Lasogga turns it in and makes it 1-0 in the 66th minute. So finally the breakthrough has came, finally Hamburg's resistance is broken, Vargas is beaten, and it's Hertha Berlin 1, Hamburg 0. So Goretzka, his shot saved by Vargas, but a very, very good finish by Lasogga. I thought I was going to mess it up, but thankfully I didn't. However, 10 minutes later, and Hamburg would score the equalising goal. Very, very frustrating. They cut the ball across the face of goal. Nothing I could do about it, and got themselves the equaliser. It was poor defending initially, yes, but as soon as they got into that area, you knew they were going to score, and they did. So Hertha Berlin 1, Hamburg 1, and they're back on level terms. But how about this for a slice of real fortune in the 84th minute? Because Hamburg win what I thought was going to be a penalty, but instead the referee gave a free kick. The referee also booked Marco Reus, and Hamburg won a free kick, but I think this is a penalty, and it's not the first time this has happened on YouTube. I showed you this before, where a collision looks as though it's taken place inside the box like that one does, but the referee gives a free kick and not a penalty. And I have to say, I thought that was a penalty personally. I couldn't really see how it was a free kick, maybe because the initial shirt ball happened outside the box, but the challenge that actually brought the man down was inside the area. So in my opinion, that was a penalty, and we got away with one. And from the free kick, Hamburg almost scored, but Neuer made a really, really good save. So still one apiece here, but I feel as though we got away with one there. And in the 88th minute, you see Hamburg have a free kick, but they waste it. And as we try and go on the counter here, we give the ball away, but we win it back as Sidney Sam collects the ball, rolls it through towards Nico Schultz. Schultz collects the ball, chips it forward towards Yashil, who just came off the bench, holds off his man, goes down left-hand side, swings it across to the far post, and well, you just got to trust him, don't you? Lasogga is always going to score those chances. He makes it 2-1 with just 15 seconds of normal time to go, and we go in front in this game late on. So Lasogga gets the goal, and you just had to trust him. Like, as soon as I went down the left-hand side with Yashil, I saw him run at the far post, and I thought if I cross to the far post, I'm sure he'll win the header. Yes, he's attacking it from deep, and yes, you probably argue that the Hamburg player Langkamp, who was a little bit tighter, not Langkamp, sorry, number 17, was a little bit tighter, he could have got the ball away for a corner, but I trust Lasogga. That's why I crossed to the far post, and he does score what would prove to be the winning goal. So Hertha Berlin 2, Hamburg 1, and a Lasogga double means we win the game, and it was a really, really tough fought game, you know. Obviously, when we usually take on Hamburg, Hamburg, it's quite a routine victory because, you know, as I said, they don't tend to do very well on career mode, but they made it really, really difficult for us this time. But thankfully we came through, we got the win, and I'm very, very pleased with it. So Hertha Berlin 2, Hamburg 1, and I'm very, very delighted with the win. So we do make it back-to-back wins, very tough, but at least we got there. And following that, we had a transfer offer for Zola here. Bayer Leverkusen want him, but I said give us £10 million or you're not taking him, because I don't see the point in making too many changes now in this last transfer window. You know, there's not really much we can do. I prefer to just stick with the squad we've got. But so we do put in a bid of £5.8 million plus Badstuber for Hoover. Maybe a little bit of an overspend, but the reality is I just don't want Badstuber anymore, so there you go. Also, a bid came in for Emre Can from Atalanta. They said they'd take him for £22.5 million. That's a lot of money for a £12 million valued player, but as I said, I don't want to make too many changes, so I asked Atalanta for £40 million, and as you'll see, actually you won't see this, but I accidentally deleted the footage, but Atalanta said they weren't matched out, which is not a real surprise, so there you go. And also PSG did accept a £5.8 million deal for Hoover, £5.8 million plus Badstuber for Hoover, so we're offering him a contract, and there you go. Bayer Leverkusen won't match £10 million for Zola, and also Volland has once again declined his contract. And as you can see, Hoover, he's come in, he's accepted his contract, which is great, and I'm really, really pleased with that. So Hoover comes in, very, very pleased. Like I said, 90 grand a week. Badstuber was on 100 grand a week, and also £5.8 million plus Badstuber. It is quite expensive, don't get me wrong, it is quite expensive, but at the end of the day, he's one rating higher. He's not going to complain because he doesn't have a squad status, and he looks better in my opinion. So there you go, Hoover is in, and that's all there is to it. What can I say? So Hoover comes in, and I'm pretty pleased with that. And again, you wouldn't have seen it there, but you may have just seen the brief email where it said Atalanta RE the transfer offer. They just said flat out no to Emre Can, which is not a real surprise. 40 million is way too much to ask for an 82 rated player. But as I said, you know, maybe I could have just taken the £22.5 million, but then I would have thought, who do I replace Emre Can with? You know, I mean, of course we put Leitner on the bench who's an 80 rated, but you know, if we were going to sign someone, I'd like to get enough money to make sure we could probably sign someone like a Zil or Gundogan or Götze, who would never be able to afford, but one of those great players, great CMs for Germany. But you know, we're not going to be able to. So there you go. I thought it was just better to keep Emre Can and just keep developing him. So there you go. But anyway, the second and final game is against Düsseldorf here in the Bundesliga, and this is one of the last games of January, so last chances really for these players who are currently on the transfer list and a loan list to prove themselves, and also a last chance really for the first team players who are playing the game, or you know, all the first team players are playing really, to show that they should still be starting for this team for the remainder of the series. So Hoover did make the bench for this game, but obviously just like Badstuber, he will usually always be a backup centre back, so he was on the bench, but I did bring him on late on just to have a little bit of a try with him. But still, we took on Düsseldorf, and the first chance fell there, but the goalkeeper made a really good save. And in the 31st minute, another good opportunity here. Goretzka takes on Ramirez, beats him with a couple of great skill moves, then beats Bruno Soares, crosses the ball in. Kroos has a free volley, but what a block that is by number 15. If he doesn't stick a leg out there, that's going in the bottom corner, but instead it's a really good block, and he keeps the score at 0-0. But this was a really frustrating game. I struggled to get into this game massively. You know, in most games I'm usually attacking at will and looking really threatening, but in this game I just couldn't get it sorted. And as Goretzka finds Marco Reus here, good opportunity, but I took the shot on a bit too early, and Michael Rainsing, is that how you pronounce that name? Makes a good save and keeps it at 0-0. And from the corner, Royce crosses the ball in, and Ginter can't win the header. It falls to Lasogga, who collects the ball, gives it to Goretzka, who shoots from outside the area, but again the goalkeeper parries it and puts it behind for a corner. So still 0-0 as things stood in this game. And yes, we were looking a lot more threatening than our opponents on the away side, but we just couldn't get a breakthrough in this game. And I couldn't get a pattern going. I guess that's the best way of putting it. You know, every time I came forward, I just couldn't get the right pattern going. I couldn't look threatening enough, and every time I took a shot, the goalkeeper dealt with it quite comfortably. We did have the ball in the back of the net here. Lasogga won this header from the shot, which was parried by Rensing from Royce's shot, but Lasogga was offside and the goal wouldn't stand. But I couldn't get a pattern going. I just didn't play very well. And one of the last chances fell here in the 72nd minute. Neuer plays it out wide towards Marco Reus, down his left-hand side. He finds Nico Schultz. Schultz inside towards Toni Kroos. Kroos to Lasogga, gets past his man. I thought for sure I was going to score. 9 times out of 10 I'll finish this in my sleep, but this time I hit the post and Düsseldorf clear. So we end the game 0-0. It was a really frustrating game. We should have won it comfortably, no disrespect to Düsseldorf, and instead we can only manage a 0-0 draw. Very, very frustrating, but I guess we just have to bounce back in the next episode, because you know, sometimes you have little blips here and there, and hopefully that's all it will be, a little blip, and we'll get a lot better in the next episode. But as always guys, a big thank you for watching the video. I really hope you have enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed the episode, then please do leave a like, because it is much appreciated and it really does help my channel out, and I'll see you for the next episode of my Next Gen Career Mode very soon.